Sec 4 NA TYS question 2015 paper 2. Question number 1. Simplify the following. Now we have the following indices questions. Let's simplify each of the different numbers. I have 6 with 3. That will simplify to 2. X squared and x, which have a larger power, the numerator or the denominator? The numerator. So I'm left with x. And y with y to the power 4. This is y to the power 1 and y to the power 4, which has a larger power, the denominator. And what will happen? We are left with y to the power of 3. Now part B, evaluate the following to the power of negative 2 over 3. What is the effect of the negative power? Well, it will swap the fraction, flip your fraction to become 8 over 27. And then we will have the power now to be left with 2/3. Then this power 2/3 need to apply it to number 8 and the number 27. So from here we will get, using our calculator, 8 to the power of 2 over 3 will left with 4. 27 to the power of 2 over 3 will left with 9. So the answer will become 4 over 9. Have you gotten the answer? Question number 2. The scale of a map is given as 1:50,000. So when we have map and scale, we always write map is to actual to start off. So this is for part A. Rewrite the scale is 1 cm is to x kilometers. So I will have 1:50,000. This is 1 cm and we will start with 1 cm. Now they want us to keep 1 cm over here, and we want to change this part on the actual, the units here, into kilometers. How do we change from cm to kilometers? Now cm to meters and meters to kilometers. So 1 cm is 100 meters. So to change from cm to meter, we divide by 100. And 1 meter to 1 kilometer, we divide by 1000. So in this case, we'll divide by 100,000 to give us the answer in kilometers. And that will give us the answer of 0.5 kilometers. So rewrite the scale. This is the new scale. Part B, along the road on the map is 18 cm long. Find the actual length of the road in kilometers. Now I already know that this is 1 cm is to 0.5 kilometers. They want us to find 18 cm long. So I'll need to multiply by 18, and that gives me 9 kilometers for my actual. So I'm going to write a labeling so that I do not need to write statements. Okay, and next, part C. A lake has an area. Oh, we're going to use the area scale. So we'll start off with map is to actual. Map is 1 cm. We are going to use it in kilometers squared. So I should use the version of 0.5 kilometers. Now we're going to calculate the area scale. Please do indicate that this is an area scale. How do we change from length to area? Now that will be 1 square cm square 0.5 square kilometers square. And from that we can get 1 square is 1 cm square. 0.5 square is 0.25 kilometers square. Now we have changed the area scale. Let's use this. They say a lake has an area of this 90 kilometers square. Which does it belongs to? The map or the actual? The one on the actual, which is 90 kilometers square. Now how do we work out the answer? We'll take 90 divided by 0.25 times 1. So 90 divided by 0.25 times 1 to give me a 360 cm square on the map. Have you gotten the answer? Question number 3. 30 students sat for a math test. So the mean mark was 12.8. Oh, so that means the original old mean mark for the 30 students, mean for 30 students is 12.8. What does that tells me? That means the total mark for 30 students is now 12.8 times 30 to give me the number 384. I know that the median was 12, okay. Then extra student, so I add one more student now. I have a new mean mark. So if I add one more student now, then this will be the mean mark for how many students? Originally, I have 30. Now I add one more student, I'll have 31 students. And this new mean mark is 13. So now that means the total marks for 31 student is 13 times 31. That gives me a total of 403. So what is the extra mark? So therefore the new mark is to take 403 minus 384. So that will give me the answer 19 marks. Have you gotten the answer? Part B. Copy and complete the sentence below with the correct phrase from the list. Now they are asking about the new median. What is our originally the median in the original case? I have 30 students to begin with, and they told me that the median was 12. So that means the middle number, the number in the middle over here, which will give you the between the 15th and the 16th student. This number over here, this median, is the number 12. But now what happens? I have 31 students now. If I have 31 students, what is the middle position? The middle position now shift to the 16th student. Now I know that the extra test number, the person, scored 19 marks. 19 is a number that is slightly bigger than 12. This means that for the 16th student, the score itself could be, I could have more than one 12. So this 16 student could have a median of 12 marks, or it could be 13, or 14, 15, 16, so on and so forth, or even the number 19. So anything that is over this side, moving on to the next few terms, we should have a median that might be bigger than 12, or it still might be the number 12. So this should be the correct statement. Have you gotten the answer? Question number 5. The diagram below shows a triangular prism. What is a triangular prism? A triangular prism is not a pyramid. A prism has a uniform cross-sectional area and constant length. So in order to find the volume of the prism, I will take the uniform cross-sectional area times the length of the prism. Now this shows a triangle of length 8 cm, and we have a 90-degree angle over here. Let's take a look. What is the uniform cross-section? So since it's going to be a uniform cross-section, the shape will stay the same throughout. So we can see very clearly that this triangle ABC here, which is a right angle triangle, will be the uniform cross-section of the whole prism. So let us calculate the first question. Number 1, calculate the volume of the prism. So in this case, volume of prism will be given by taking the uniform cross-sectional area, which is the triangle. Area of triangle is half times base times the height. And we'll take this cross-section to multiply by the length. Length is 8 cm. And then we'll be able to get the volume to be 48 cm cubed. That's for part A. Part B, write down the length of AC. How can we find the length of AC? We can use the Pythagoras theorem. So AC will be square root of 3 square plus 4 square to give me 5 cm. Part 2, find the length of AF. Where is AF? AF is in a position across. Okay, so we actually have a 3D diagram over here. So if I know this is going to be AF, I'll need to find a right angle triangle somewhere. Now I know that AF is horizontally across from A, and to find A to the position F, to find a right angle triangle, I know that there's a vertical height here, 3, and I connect it to AB and the point F. Okay, what do I know about this triangle over here? I have definitely this angle here to be a 90-degree angle because AB is vertical and BF is on the ground, a plane. So we have a right angle triangle. In order for us to find the length AF, we probably need to find the length BF first. Now let's take a look. BF is on which rectangle? BF is on the rectangle BCF, E, and B. So if there is a rectangle 90 degree over here, I have my length over at this side to be 8 cm. So if this is 4 and this is 8, I have one rectangle triangle. The length is 8 and this is 4. This is the length FB. How can I find the length FB? Okay, so the length BF in this case will be, I use the Pythagoras theorem, 4 square plus 8 square to give me the number 8.9442 cm. Now that I know the base BF, I have my vertical triangle AB here, which is 3 cm. B to F is now found to be 8.9442, and I need to find the length AF. How do I find AF now? I'm going to use the Pythagoras theorem again, and we will have 3 square plus 8.9442 square to give us the answer 9.4339 and rounded off to 9.433 SF cm. Have you gotten the answer? Question number 6. Mr. Lee has 100,000 in his pension fund. It offers him two options, option A and option B. For option A, if you do choose this payment, he will get 25,000 immediately, and then he'll get a 6% of the remaining 75,000 each year. Now, if you choose option A, find the total amount of pension he will get in the first 15 years. So for 6% each year, I'm going to multiply by a total of 15 years, and let's see how much money we'll get. We'll get a total of 6,750. Now, if that's the case, what is the total amount he received for the 15 years? The total amount will be 25,000 plus 6,750, and that gives us 9,500. Okay, option B, if you were to get 6% of the whole 100,000 each year, but then there's no immediate amount. So for 15 years, I'm going to get 6% of 100,000. And for 15 years, let's check how much money will this counts to. I'll get 90000. Okay, this amount of money. If he chooses option B, will he receive more or would he receive less? Comparing to option A, and by how much? It's quite obvious he will receive less, right? So the difference will now be taking this value minus 90,000, and that gives you 2,500. So he would receive lesser money by $2,500. Have you gotten the answer? Question number 7. The diagram shows a triangle ABC. A is the point -3, 3, B is the point -5, 1, and C is the point 5, -1. Now observe that this lines over here have the same y coordinates, so it's actually a same straight line across. This number over here is -5. It moved to 5, so I have a total of how many units over here? So from -5 to 5, there's a total of 10 units here. Okay, and let's take a look at the question. The points A, B, C, and P are vertices of a parallelogram. I have the point A, point B, point C. Where is P? I'll need to find the coordinates for all 3 possible positions of P. If it's a parallelogram, that means the opposite sides are equal in length and the gradient will be the same. So they must be parallel lines as well. So let's try to find the first position. If from B to C is 10 units, I can shift from A either to the left hand side or to the right hand side by a total of 10 units. So let's say A will shift to here to get one parallelogram. I can get the point from here, Y units to stay the same. So this coordinate point P here will have the same Y coordinate, but the X will change now from -3. I add a 10 units, and that will give me the number 7. So this is the first possible position for P. So P can be 7, 3. Alternatively, I can also shift to the left hand side. So let's say I erase this away, and now I'm going to shift to the right hand side, left hand side by 10 units. That means my point here will still be on the same straight line. The Y coordinate will still be the number 3, but the X coordinate now shifts to the left. That means it will be -3 minus another 10 units. That will give me -13. So then my second position for point P can be -13, 3. Now that's for these two options. I can have another position if, let's say, this line is not the pair of parallel lines. So I'm not going to observe this now. Let's take a look at if I were to have another side to be parallel. So for example, I can have the line to be parallel to this side, AB. What is AB made up of? How has AB changed? From point A to point B, I can see form a right angle triangle. Let's take a look at the X coordinates first. this x coordinate here shifts from A to be -3 units and 5 to be -5 units. So there's a total of 2 units over here. And for the y value, this is 3 and this is -1. From 3 to -1, 3 to -1, that's a total of 4 units difference. So I can either make this side parallel, that means A to go to B, I will shift a total of 2 units and then down 4 units. So from C, I'm going to try to find a side that's parallel to AB. So that means I need to shift a total of -2 units. So I'm going to shift 2 units over here. So for the number 5, I shift 2 units to be -2. And then I'm going to shift down by 4 units. And that will be -4. So to get a point over here, this P will be from 5, I'm going to -2 units, that will give me 3. From -1, I need to -4 units, that will give me -5. So P can also be 3, -5. Of course, this line can also be parallel at this position. But we already gotten this position just now. For where P is, if I'm going to add 2 units and then move up by 4 units, that will give me P to be 5 plus 2, that is 7, and -1 plus 4, that is 3, which is the same answer as our first answer. So this will be all the 3 different positions of the parallelogram. Have you gotten the answer? Now let us answer the next part of our question. Question B, part 1. Question asks us to find the equation of the line BC. Now usually students will firstly think of the line y equals to mx plus c. But y equals to mx plus c is to find the equation for slanted lines. But let's take a look at the line BC. BC is a horizontal line, so it's not a slanted line. In this case, we do not use the equation y equals to mx plus c. So if this is a horizontal line, it cuts which axis? It cuts the y-axis. That means in this case, the equation for the line BC starts with, it cuts the y-axis, that means it will be y equals to something. It cuts the y-axis at which number? What's the y number over here? This value is -1. That means this equation will be y equals to -1. Part 2. Find the equation for the line AC. I have now AC. AC is this line over here. This is a slanted line. That means I will need to use the equation for a slanted line to be y equals to mx plus c. So let's first find the first step to find m. M is the gradient. So the gradient equals to, we're going to use 2 points. What are 2 points? x1, y1, y equals to 3 and x equals to -3. And x2, y2. Gradient is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Be careful, this is a subtraction of a negative number. It gives us the gradient that is simplified to be -half. Now I know the gradient. We are going to substitute a point to find the y-intercept. Which point will you like to choose? You can have the point A, -3, 3, or you can have the point C, 5, negative 1. In this case, I just randomly choose a number. I'll choose the point 5, negative 1. We know that y equals to mx plus c. The gradient is the m. And we're going to sub the value. The point y is negative 1, negative half times. X is now the number 5. And we're going to find our constant plus c. Working out our answers, and c will be the number 3/2. That means the equation will be now y equals to negative half x plus 3/2. Answer. Have you gotten the answer? Question number 8. Juan catches the 1:45 train from Woodlands Station to Kuala Lumpur. He arrives in Kuala Lumpur at 20:25. What does this information tells you? From 1345 to go to 20:25, we can actually use our calculator. If you have the Casio, you can use this symbol, this one over here, to help you to calculate time. That means I'm going to key in 20 hours, 20 this, and then 25 this button again, minutes, subtract 13 hours, 45 minutes, to give me a difference of 6 hours, 40 minutes. Okay, we'll keep this information first. They tell us that the distance is 325 kilometers. Find the average speed of the train in kilometers per hour. So I need this to be in kilometers per hour. Now I know my time taken has already been found just now to be 6 hours, 40 minutes. But they want to find the speed in kilometers per hour. So we need to change this to 640/60 of an hour. And that will give me 6 2/3 of an hour. Now, having our time in hours, we can find our average speed to be distance divided by the total time in hours to give us the speed in kilometers per hour. And I have the answer to be 48, 3/4. Remember to use, for this fraction over here, remember to press your calculator, the shift button, and get it in this form before you key in your answers. Okay, so now this is the speed. Part B. The proposed new high-speed rail link will cut the journey to 1.5 hours. 2, right? Calculate the increase in the average speed of the journey by the high-speed rail. The increase in the speed. So now, given this timing, cut it to is not cut by, but cut to. So that means the time taken now for part B is 1.5 hours. Not cut by, but cut to. And the distance is still 325. So the new speed will now be 325 divided by 1.5 hour, and that gives us a speed of 2162/3 kilometers per hour. Calculate the increase in the average speed as a percentage of the average speed by train. So the increase is 2162/3 minus 48, 3/4, to be 167, 11/12. And we want to change this into a percentage of the train. If it's percentage of the train, that means the denominator will be the speed of the train. The speed of the train is 48, 3/4. So percentage will now be taking this increase divided by my original speed by the twin times 100% to give us an answer of 344.4/9%. Question 9a. Make y the subject of ay equals to 2y plus b. So for part A, we have ay to be 2y plus b. I want to make y the subject. Where are the terms involving y? I have ay and 2y. So first thing, we're going to do a G grouping. So we're going to group all the terms with y together, and that will give me ay, and 2y will migrate over to become negative 2y, and b will stay on this side. Next, we will have f for factorize, and we want the term y, so we're going to factorize out y. This will be a minus 2 equals to b. And then we have d, gfd. What happens to your girlfriend? Okay, so we're going to divide to get y equals to b over a minus 2. This whole expression is the answer. Part B, solve the following equation. 5x plus 2 over 3 minus 2x minus 4 over 2 equals to 1. Please take note, there is more than one term in my numerator, and we have negative sign over here. It's very easy to make careless mistakes, so we need to add brackets to prevent us from making the mistakes. And now we want to make them into one single fraction before we cross multiply to solve the equation. Now, what is the denominator to make? I have 3 and 2. That means I'll need to make it into the LCM 6. So I need to multiply by a 2 here and multiply by a 3 over here. So that gives me a denominator of 6. Now 2 times 5x plus 2 subtract 3 times 2x minus 4. I know that a lot of students like to write it in two separate fractions, but take note when you combine the fractions, this negative sign here has an impact on the sign of the numbers. But for me, I will put everything together and expand my numerator. Now my numerator will get 10x plus 4 subtract 6x plus, this sign will change, plus 12 to be equals to 1. After which we can do a cross multiplication. So we'll get rid of our denominator. 6 will be over here. And let us simplify our numerator. Numerator times 1 will give us back the same thing. So 10 minus 6x will be 4x plus 4 plus 12 will be 16. Now 4x is equals to 6. 16 migrates over, so become minus 16. 4x is equals to negative 10. And x will be equals to negative 2.5. Have you gotten the answer? Next, let's solve for part C. The equation is 2x squared minus 5x minus 8 equals to 0. So part C, 2x squared minus 5x minus 8 to be equals to 0. Question asks us to solve this quadratic equation, giving your answers in decimal place. So that is actually a hint that we can't solve this by factorization. Therefore, we're going to use the formula. What's the quadratic formula to solve the equation? X equals to negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. Now let us identify the terms. What are the values for A, B, and C? Remember to include the sign. So A will be 2, -5 for B, and -8 for C. You are required to write the working. The working itself has marks, so you must fill in the working. So for me, I prefer to change everything to brackets first, so that I do not make any careless mistakes. So A will be, B will be -5. This will be -5. Okay, and this will be -5, 2, and 8. And then next, I'm not going to calculate this tediously by keying everything into the calculator. I'll just use my mode 3, the shortcut. So A is 2, B is -5, and C is -8. And I get my answers to be 3.6085, or the second answer, -1.1085. And that will give me 3.61 to 2 dp, or -1.11 to 2 dp. Have you gotten the answer? Question 10, part A. Now make a sketch of the following graph. Do not make an accurate plot. Okay, but we need to show on our sketch the coordinates of the point where the y is a minimum. That means we're looking for the minimum point. Now to do this, you notice that this is of the completed square form. Okay, so for a completed square form, when we do our drawing, our sketching, we always start with 3 letters, M, L, and I. M for the minimum or the maximum, so it's minimum in this case, and line of L for line of symmetry, and I for intercepts. Correct? So now let's take a look. First thing, this is a positive x squared. So it's going to be a smiley face, so that's why we have a minimum point. The benefit of using a completed square form is that it gives us the minimum point directly. We know that the minimum value will be y equals to -3 if this bracket over here, x plus 2, is equals to 0. So when I have 0 square minus 3, the smallest value will be -3. So if x plus 2 is equal to 0, the value of x will be -2. So this means our minimum point is -2, -3. And the x over here tells us the line of symmetry is at x equals to -2. Now, if we're going to find the intercepts, we'll need to find the x-intercept first or the y-intercept. Question did not ask us to find the intercepts actually. They only asked for the minimum point, and it only gives us 2 marks. So probably I need to find the y-intercept. Okay, let's see. When I want to find the y-intercept, what equals to 0? To find the y-intercept, x equals to 0. So y will now be 0 plus 2 squared minus 3. And that gives me an answer of 1. So that means on my axis now, I'm going to make a sketch of, I need a -2, -3. So my axis should have both negative and positive numbers. I need -2 and -3. Why is -3? 1, 2, 3, -3 somewhere over here. So this is my coordinates of the minimum point. They want us to write it down. We better prepare it. And we know that the line of symmetry is x equals to -2. So this is the line of symmetry. And we have our y-intercept to be 1. So let's make a sketch of this. So from our minimum point, I'll turn to the y-intercept, and we'll try to make it as symmetrical as possible. Therefore, this will be the curve y equals to x plus 2 square minus 3. The shape carries 1 mark, the smiley face, and the minimum point will carry 1 mark. So have you gotten the answer? Question 10b. This graph shows the speed-time graph. Let's recall a little bit on speed-time graph. How do we find distance from speed-time graph? For distance, in speed-time graph, distance will be the area under graph. Okay, and how do we find acceleration? Acceleration for speed-time graph will be the gradient. Okay, so we need to know these 2 points, these 2 things. And to find the speed, we just read the graph directly. Now they ask us first question, describe what is happening between t is equals to 30 and t equals to 60. Oh, we notice that there is a flat line over here, and the speed during this point is 6 meters per second. If it's a flat line, it means it's maintaining constant speed between 30 to 60 seconds at a speed of 6 meters per second. So what can we describe for part 1? That means train travels at a constant speed of 6 meters per second for a period of 30 seconds. 30 is from T30 to T60. So take a little bit of time and write down your answers. Part 2, question says to find the acceleration for the first 30 seconds. So acceleration is actually the gradient. For the first 30 seconds, it means from 0, and we have this point 0, 0, to 30 seconds later, which is this point. This will be 36. 30 and 6. So to find the acceleration, that means I'm going to find the gradient. So acceleration will be, the gradient is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And we'll get 6 divided by 30 to give me 0.2. This is meters per second, this is seconds, so I get the units for acceleration to be meters per second square. Okay, part 3. Question asks us, after 30 seconds, it slowed down with constant deceleration. So it slowed down to constant deceleration and travel until 200 meters. So what does this mean? That means a further 200 meters, this is a distance. So distance tells me is area under a graph. So if it's an area under the graph, if it slows down at a constant timing, it will be a triangle. So the line is going to be going downward sloping, but I do not know what time it ends. So, but I know that this distance here is definitely 200 meters. So what do I know? The distance is actually area under the graph. Area is now in the shape of a triangle, half times base times height. Now if it slows down to a stop, what is the change in the speed? It changed from originally here is 8 meters to all the way to 0 meters. So this height over here will be 8. So half times 8, and the change of time, which is the distance I need to know, that will be the base. The area is now given to be the distance. 200 is made up of half times 8 is 4 times the time taken, which is the base that we want to find. And therefore, as a result, the base that we want to find is 200 divided by 4 to give me 50. That means time taken is 50 seconds. But they want to find the value where it stopped. That means it will stop after 50 seconds. So from 80 plus 50, that will give me a total of 130 seconds over here. So time value of t where it stop. So t will be equals to 130. Have you gotten the answer? Question 11. A teacher set a problem for the students in 2 different classes and he recorded the length of time it took the students to solve the problem. Now, based on this context, if you take a shorter time to solve the problem, it might be better. Or you take a longer time to solve the problem means maybe their performance will not be that great. Okay, now the results for the 2 classes are summarized in the Box and Whiskers plot here. So we have class A and class B. The one on top is for class A. Write down the median mark. So it's going to be the mark in the middle. The median mark is down here. This value is the number 25. So for this answer, it will be A part 1. Median is 25 marks. Find the interquartile range for class A. So interquartile range is the upper quartile, which is this number. That will be the number 34. Subtract the lower quartile, which is this number. This number is the number 12. And it gives us an interquartile range of 22 marks. This is all for class A. Now, part 3, which class had faster timings on average? So when we talk about average, will you use the median or will you use the interquartile range? Now we use the median. Median means something that is on average itself, the middle number, whereas interquartile range help us to tell us the spread of the data. So they are very different. So in this case, if I want faster timing, would you want a smaller median or a higher median? I will want a smaller median. So which class has a smaller median? Class B has a median of 22. So part 3, I'm going to choose which class? Median for class AB is 22, smaller than median for class A, which is 25. Therefore, which class has faster timing? Class B has faster timing. Part 4. One of the classes had more consistent timings. Oh, it's talking about consistent timings. If it's consistent timing, we're going to compare. What are we going to use? Are we going to use the median, something for average? Or are we going to use the interquartile range, something for the spread? So in this case, we are going to compare the interquartile range. If someone is more consistent, will he have a larger spread or a smaller spread? Well, the variation of the timing will be smaller. So in this case, we will want a smaller spread. That means a smaller interquartile range. Which class is better? Which class has more consistent timing in this case? So number 4, part 4 tells us, I'm going to compare my interquartile range. I found my interquartile range for class A already. Let's find the interquartile range for class B. The interquartile range for class B is 36 minus 10, which gives me 26. This range is greater than the interquartile range of class A. So, okay, let me write my statement properly. I will want a more consistent timing, right? So I'll choose class A. So interquartile range of A is 22 marks, smaller than interquartile range of B, which is 26. Therefore, class A has more consistent timing. Okay, now let's proceed to the next question. Let's answer the next part of the question. I have 6 students from class A, 9 students from class B, That means I have a total of 15 students. Solve these problems in less than 15 minutes. 2 students of these 15 were chosen. Okay, so fine, there were 2 students. I can't choose the same student. So my first time when I pick the student, there will be 15 people for me to choose from. After I take out 1 student, I will be left with 14. So take note the denominators will change. The first one will be a 15 student to choose from, and then the second one will have 14 students to choose from. Okay, and they want that find the probability that one of this student is from class A and one of them is from class B. So I probably need to choose one is from A and then one from B. How many students are from class A? So there are 6 students from class A, and then so I do a multiplication. I choose students from class B. How many of them are from class B? I have 9 of them. But then I could also have another case where I can choose a student from class B first, and then I choose a student from A. So now, or this case, I'm going to do addition. Now I still have 15 students to choose from, and then my second time I'll choose will still be 14 students to choose from. So now I want students from class B. There will be 9 students from class B, and then class A will have 6 of them who can fit this criteria. And the answer will be 18/35. Have you gotten the answer? Question number 12, circle properties. Let's review a little bit of some of the circle properties we have. We have number 1, angles in the same, angle at center is twice angle at circumference, our Chinese answer. And number 2, angles in semicircle with a diameter is a right angle. Number 3, we have angles in the same segment, the butterfly, are equal. Number 4, we have angles in opposite segment. We look for a cyclic chord, where the angles in the opposite A plus B will add up to 180. And number 5, we can have tangent perpendicular to the radius. Or number 6, a spin-off from the tangent. Tangents from the external point can be, gives you equal. So I can either look for an isosceles triangle or a quadrilateral. Okay, so we have 6 different properties to choose from. Now let's take a look at our information given. I have A, B, C, and D are points on the circle, circumference of a circle. While a cyclic chord down here, we observe that there can be number 4, angles in opposite segment. So maybe I can have, for example, this over here. Oops. This one over here. Okay, and then with this angle. So these two will add up to 180 degrees. And I know that there is a center of the circle, they told me. Center of circle, so I can think of angle at the center is twice angle at the circumference. So if this is 110, that means this angle over here will be 110 divided by 2 to give me 55 degrees. And not only that, angle at center tells us that this is a radius. Therefore, we have a pair of isosceles triangle, and this angle over here will be 180 minus 110 divided by 2 to give me 35. So we know that this is 35 degrees. Find angle BDC. BDC, oh, and it's given already. We have gotten the answer already. A part 1, angle BDC is 110 divided by 2 to give me 55 degrees. What's the reason? Angle at center is equals to twice angle at circumference. Okay, part 2. find angle BAD. Oh, to find angle BAD, we can observe that this is a cyclic chord. So angle BAD, this angle will add up with this angle to become 180 degrees. Now let's take some answers that we have already found. Number 1, we know that angle OCB is 180 minus 110 divided by 2, 35 degrees because of isosceles triangle. And then I can find BAD to be 180 subtract 35 subtract 40 to give me the answer 105 degrees, and this is because of angles in opposite segment. Next, they tell us that CD is 8 cm. Oh, so probably we need to do a little bit of trigonometry. CD is 8 cm. So this triangle CD over here, I need to draw out the triangle CD. CD and probably will link to B. They want us to find the length of BC. So CD is 8 cm. I know that this angle over here is 55. I found this angle over here to be 75. They want me to find the length for BC. So BC, we can use the sine rule. BC with sine 55. 8 will be with sine of this angle. So first, let us find the angle DBC. How to find angle DBC? That will be 180 minus 55 minus 75 and give us the answer 50 degrees. Then from there, we know we can use the sine rule. 8 over sine 50 to be equals to BC over sine 55. Okay, doing a cross multiplication, we get BC times sine 50, and this is 8 times sine 55. Now we want to find BC. We'll divide this number by sine 50, and we get the answer for BC to be remember to use the degree mode in your calculator, and I got my answer to be 8.5546, which is 8.55 cm. Have you gotten the answer?